Hello. I'm assuming you watched the last one. You know that I had to cut the video again. I keep making them too long, so this is the second half of that, and we'll continue on with the story from here. Thanks for watching. Enjoy. I rode back down the west coast into a place called Balamban, I think it's called, and I stayed at a place called RedDoorz there. So there's RedDoorz all over the Philippines. They're like a cheap hotel, but this one was like, it used to be a resort, I think, and RedDoorz has bought it from them. It was like $50 or $60 for the night, but it was kind of in the right spot. So I was like, it's a resort. It's not just a normal RedDoorz. Normally they're like $20 a night. So I kind of thought, you know, it's probably for $50, it must be much nicer than a normal RedDoorz. And it looked, as I said, it looked like it was an old, it had been a resort before, so it's probably much nicer. Anyway, I got there. I don't want to talk badly about places, but it showed photos of like multiple swimming pools, all nice and blue and full of water, ready to go. It showed like all these like walkways that go out over the mangroves and places you can walk out, and you know, nice little huts that you can have sit out in over the water and stuff like that. It showed rooms that, you know, they looked nice with a TV and everything in them, and yeah, I'm assuming those photos were like 20 years ago, maybe, because the pools were all there, but they were empty, and like clearly you're not swimming in them. One of them might have had water in it, I think, but it was very green. The others were all kind of empty and cracked and sort of not painted anymore and run down. There was those walkways were there, but they were kind of overgrown with mangrove and stuff over them, so you couldn't really walk out onto them very much. One or two of them you could walk out on, but there was parts of them that had been sort of fenced off because they were falling apart, and don't walk onto there because it might fall through. The first room they put me in, the air conditioning didn't work and it didn't have a TV, even though it said that it did. The second room they put me in, the air conditioning worked and it had a TV that was about this big, and I went to turn it on and it doesn't really work. Like, you know, I think it had one channel that was blurry and it wouldn't let you there was no smart TV type thing to it. You couldn't connect your Netflix to it or anything like that. So that was kind of useless. And even the door itself, it wouldn't lock. Like, you lock it, you push it closed, and you could just push on the door and it would just open. Like, so there was nothing, no sort of way of keeping things safe or anything. It was just, I don't know. I think I was the only person staying there anyway, so it didn't matter that much maybe, but I felt for the price, considering a lot of the other places I'd stayed at, which were really well looked after and had beautiful pools and really nice accommodation and everything like that, they were all sitting at around that $40 a night, maybe $50 a night type of figure. For this place, being $50 a night was a struggle to deal with. But I'd booked it for 2 nights, and so I just dealt with it. And that was kind of that. So yeah, I slept there that night. I got up the next morning. I keep saying we, but there was no we. We was back in Manila still, and I was not there. I was doing this on my own. I got up the next morning and travelled sort of up over the mountains. I found a little coffee shop right on the very top of the mountain. As you go, it's actually kind of amazing, really. As you're going up these mountains here, it might be like 38 degrees or 35 degrees or something down near the water. And as you go up into the mountains, it's only like maybe 10 minutes from where you are, where it's 35 degrees, until you're up in the top of the mountain. And it might drop from like 35 to like 25 in that 10 minutes of driving. It's pretty dramatic how much cooler it is up in the mountains versus down lower. And people would probably go, oh, of course it's cooler in the mountains. But like in Australia, you go from the coast, maybe it's 4 hours to get to the mountains. Do you know what I mean? So it's a long distance. So of course it's going to be different. There it's 10 minutes drive and you're suddenly much cooler in the mountains. It's an interesting place. I'm not sure. I haven't been to all of the Philippines, obviously, but Cebu itself, you've got beaches all the way around the outside, and then you've got this mountain range essentially that runs right down through the middle. It's kind of cool in that you could find a place to live where you can be living in the mountains with an outlook looking down over the you know, the town or the beach and whatnot, and you can be nice and cool up there. So you could buy land up there potentially, or rent up there or whatever, have a nice house up there where you've got breeze and everything. It's nice and cool, easy to sleep and nice for you just your day-to-day stuff. And then when you do want to go to the beach or go into town, where you can 10 minutes down the hill, you're back into, you know, nice, like much warmer weather and beach weather and everything like that. It's pretty cool. I reckon if you could find some place where there was like a nice waterfall or somewhere like a nice resort sort of waterfall type place where you could go locally for the locals go to relatively cheaply, where you can go and spend time swimming, but live in the mountains and also have beaches nearby and a nice little town, that'd be pretty much perfect, especially if it was on Cebu, because Cebu's got an international airport. Even if you're kind of at the far end of Cebu, it's only going to take you maybe 4 hours to get back to Cebu, like Cebu City into the airport, and then you could fly pretty much anywhere in the world. It's almost perfect place to stay, I reckon, Cebu. Just it kind of has access to everything. But anyway, yeah, so I was traveling over the hill and I was coming up to the top of the hill and there was like a coffee shop. Like, sounds dumb. Oh, there's a coffee shop. In the Philippines, there's not a lot of coffee shops. Like there is some here and there, but they're not like Melbourne. I mean, Melbourne's quite known for coffee and I'm not a big coffee person. Certainly not in Melbourne, I'm not. But I do like to have coffee to sort of, you know, wake you up and get going. And if I'm going to have coffee, I'd prefer that it not be stick coffee or, you know, brewed coffee. I'd like whatever you call it, hot coffee. I don't know what that's called. Drip coffee, maybe? I don't know. I don't know enough about coffee. I like when you've got a proper coffee machine and they grind it and do all that sort of stuff and make it a strong coffee that's not too bitter. But I don't like having sugar or milk in it. So, you know, it needs to be well made. Anyway, there's a coffee shop there. And I went past, oh, that looks good. So I turned around and went back in. I don't think I took photos of it. I'll have a look and add them on here if I did. But the coffee there was excellent. If you are driving from between Balamban and Cebu, which is that main sort of road that runs over the mountains there, it's about halfway and it's the only coffee shop. It's right at the top. You should definitely go in and try it. It's good. I liked it. So anyway, I kept on going and I went to a place called the Temple of Leah. Temple of Leah or Lee, I'm not sure if it's Lee or Leah. It's like a old style Greek temple, like huge, not Colosseum, but you know what I'm talking about. Big pylons and huge marble platforms, and it's pretty amazing. Stunningly beautiful, right on the top of the hill, looking out straight down over Cebu City, and really, it's cool. It's definitely worth going. If you're in Cebu, that I would say like the Mama Mary Monastery or similar or whatever it's called, that Kawasan Falls and Temple of Leah, whatever it is, those three places. There's a million other places to go to, but those three places, 100%, you need to go to those three places. They're all excellent. Yeah, so it's cool, and the thing is, I think it's privately owned. I think it's what it is there was this guy and he was married to this lady. You know, they were clearly very wealthy, and she had been collecting stuff that she was into over her life, like old stuff, you know, pots and plates, and when I say pots, you know, like big ceramic pots and other things. I don't know. Anyway, when she passed away, and she was old, I think. I don't think she was young. I think she was old, but she passed away. And obviously this guy he loved her so much that he was like, I'm going to create this monument to her. And so that was her. So it's like the temple of her, like her temple. And you get there and it's stunningly beautiful. And it's got like all these little rooms, and in the rooms you can't go into some you can, I think, but most of them you can't go in. You can just sort of look in, but inside it's all of the stuff that she'd been collecting through her life. And so he's got these rooms full of all this like antique-y type sort of stuff that she's collected. And I don't know, it's beautiful and it's definitely worth going to have a look at. You can see in the photos. So it's pretty cool. A slightly side note to all of that, there is a statue of like a Roman or Greek like warrior guy who's standing there with his, you know, and it's like, if you know what I mean. And he is kind of like this sort of brown grey colour. I'm assuming at some point he was all bronze coloured, like that sort of golden bronze colour. And he's just tarnished, or maybe he's been painted or something like that to be this other colour. But his member is glowingly golden from every hand that's grabbed onto it that walks past and touches it and grabs it. So that was kind of funny. I'm pretty sure I've got a photo of that, so I'll put that in there as well. But yeah, It was pretty cool. Nice place. I would 100% recommend going there. After that, obviously, I rode back. I'm not sure why I stayed 2 days in Balamban. I feel like I must have had something in my head as to I'd go there, stay one night, then ride over to the Temple of Leah, do the day there, and for some reason come back there to get my stuff again or stay one more night there. I don't know why I did that, because literally that ride over, you're basically into Cebu by then. So I think what it was is I wanted to go down, because it's quite a long ride to get back to Balamban, and then I'd stay there the night, and I wanted to go from there over the hill to this Temple of Leah. And if I went there first on the way into Cebu, I would have all my backpack and everything with me. So I thought, no, I'll just do that and then go back maybe. Maybe that's why. I don't really remember, but that's probably why. Anyway, so I went back, stayed one more night at Balamban at that RedDoorz place, which was mediocre. What did happen was, though, when I went back that night I went into, I went south a little bit more. I can't remember if it was that same town or the next town down, but I was looking for, I think there was a lechon place to eat there. Like, for those that are not from Philippines, like like spit roasted pork, and the skin gets all crispy. It's delicious. It's not very good for you, but it's delicious. And there was a place that did that and specialised, and I wanted to go and eat that. So I think I was riding into the town to try and find that place, and there was a, what do they call them? Festival? Anyway, they have a big party, and the whole area, that whole barangay or whatever you want to call it, was there, and there was, wow. I'm trying to ride into this town, and there was 4,000 trillion cars, everyone going at 1 kilometre, a quarter of a kilometre an hour. I'd get double the amount of motorbikes, triple the amount of motorbikes. And there was a marching band, and there was like school kids all marching and dancing and doing stuff. And then another group of people done, like, I think they have like all the schools, maybe, and all the clubs and all the football teams and all the basketball teams, and they all have their own thing. And they're all like parading through the town, and music and dancing and singing and all this stuff. And it was pretty awesome, but it was wildly busy, very difficult to get anywhere. I spent probably 3 hours just trying to do 1.5 kilometres down before I missed the place, found a spot after getting past them all to be able to do a U-turn, and then inched my way back up until I got back to where I needed to go. The food was good, but the party and all the stuff going on was more fun. That was pretty interesting. I didn't really get involved in it, but I sat and watched it all, and it was pretty cool to watch. I don't think I took photos of it. Again, sometimes you just sort of forget about it and you're sort of in the moment. But yeah, that was cool. I saw a few of those when I was like traveling. Just in general, I saw a few places that were having these sort of big parties like that. I think they must do it maybe once every year or once every 6 months or something like that. But yeah, it's pretty cool. That's probably enough, I guess. We'll talk about the trip into Cebu and what happened whilst I was in Cebu. I've got a couple of pretty cool, well, one's pretty cool and one was a little scary, but interesting stories from my trip into Cebu before traveling back to Manila. Yeah, we'll talk about that in the next video. Otherwise, like, subscribe, all those things, please. If you've been to any of these places, let me know. Tell me about them. Tell me what you like, you don't like. If you've been up that last bit of the west coast and there's things there that I should have looked at that I didn't even think about, tell me about that. If you've been down that top little bit of the east coast where I didn't go down because I kind of skipped it, tell me if there's anything cool there to look at, because at some point I'm going back, and if I do, I'll probably go there. Cool. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. I'll catch you next time. Stay awesome.